If you're an artist and you have any paintbrushes that have hardened varnish or hardened acrylic on them, don't worry. I'm going to show you a simple at-home solution that cleans, fixes, and restores that paintbrush back into a working order. No joke, it's going to feel like a brand new paintbrush, almost like the day you bought it. Are you ready? Because here we go. All right, let's go over our supplies. You will first need distilled white vinegar, 1 measuring cup, 1 glass container that can handle high temperatures of heat. I recommend a tall glass container for longer bristle brushes and a wider glass container for your wider bristle brushes. You will also need 1 old comb and 1 old toothbrush, plus you will also want some shop towels for cleanup and soaking up all the vinegar. All right, let's start on fixing and restoring our varnish and acrylic brushes. Take your containers and drop in your paint brushes. Now fill the containers with distilled white vinegar all the way up to just below the ferrule, which is that metal part right there. Once we have all the measurements that we need to cover all of the bristles, we can remove the paint brushes, take our containers and pour it into our measuring cup. From here, we're going to take it into our kitchen, turn on our stove, and pour our vinegar into a pan or pot and have it come to the beginning of a rolling boil. Now, the boiling point of most household vinegars is right around 213 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're a kitchen nerd like me, I recommend that you actually keep that temperature underneath 213. I have a thermometer. I'm going to try to shoot for anything between 165 to about 200 degrees. Now take our hot vinegar and pour it right back into the containers that contain our paintbrushes. And remember to keep the vinegar right below the metal ferrule. Now let your paintbrushes soak from anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour. Make sure about every 10 to 15 minutes that you actually turn, rotate, and push the brush down into the vinegar a little bit. This will help the bristles open up and bloom and allow the vinegar to do its job even better. All right, let's make a cleaning station by folding over some shop towels that'll help absorb all the white vinegar and residue from our paint brushes. Remove any paintbrush and wipe it off on the blue shop towel. This will help remove the surface residue that has been peeled off from the introduction of that white vinegar. Now from here, to get a deeper clean, this is where you're going to use the comb and toothbrush. The comb is going to get deeper into the bristles and remove all that gunk that's hiding inside and pull it to the front and the outside. From here, you can use your toothbrush, which is going to peel and wipe and scrub off all that excess residue that you don't want. Just look at how much hardened acrylic and hardened varnish material we got off of our paint brushes. When I zoom in close here, you can see how soft, flexible, and workable the bristles are again. However, they're not 100% and I want to get them back to 100%, which means we're going to do a 2-step process, and all we're going to do is repeat the same steps we just did. Measure out the white vinegar for what you will need, reintroduce heat to it on the stove, get it to the temperatures that we need, pour that hot vinegar back into our beakers, drop in our paintbrushes, let them soak for 30 minutes to an hour. Every 10 to 15 minutes, make sure to bloom and open up the paint brushes. When you're all done with the waiting time, clean them off with your shop towels, introduce the combs to get the gunk material out from the inside of the bristles, then use the toothbrush to really work off all the excess material that's now on the outside of your paintbrush. Now we're still not done. You have to do a final rinse. Wash your brushes thoroughly with warm soapy water. I highly recommend using Dawn dish soap. Rinse and blot them dry with a paper or shop towel. Now, if you have expensive varnish or paint brushes, or you want to get your paint brushes back to original condition, I highly recommend that you also do an additional step, which would be reshaping and conditioning your brushes. Run your brushes through a conditioner like the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver or Chelsea's Classical Studio Lavender and Olive Oil Soap. I did you a favor and I put both of those down in the video description below. By the way, those links do help me out. Now gently work up a good lather and reshape the bristles with your fingers. Wash and blot them dry and let them hang either flat or with the bristles pointing down. Now, when they're completely air dry and you pick them up, you will see how soft, smooth, silky, and flexible, and more importantly, how clean all the bristles are. And you can now reuse your paintbrush for acrylic painting, or better yet, you can use it to reseal your paintings, because now you have a beautiful, perfectly usable varnish paintbrush. Two more things I want to make sure you're aware of. While this method is excellent for cleaning, restoring, and fixing any of your hardened varnish paintbrushes and any of your hardened acrylic paintbrushes, you'll notice it doesn't get all of the pigment stains out. And you know what? That's okay. That's just the natural order of pigment in paint. It stains hairs. We don't care about the color. As long as you can get it back to a flexible and workable state, that's what you want. Who cares what the color is? But if that does bother you, I do recommend using cleaners and preservers. They will help get out that extra residue and pigment out of the bristles of your hairs and get it more back to a natural looking color if you are interested in that. The second thing I want to make sure you're aware of is this method works really well with water-based varnishes and water-based acrylics. If you use anything that's solvent-based, you may want to consider using something like Murphy's oil soap. And you know what? I've done a video on this, which I'll put over to the side. This stuff works wonders. You know, I actually want to put Murphy's soap and the white vinegar up against each other and see which one works best, quicker, more effective, and will cost you less money. Maybe we'll do that in a new video. But until then, check my pretty face over to the side. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.